Mental Health Monday on Radio City Talk with Mick Coyle.
Radio City Talk.
We follow it on into a Tuesday with Mental Health Extra, where we're joined by, from Chasing the Stigma, Jake Mills, who's back in the studio. Jake, it's great to see you. How are you?
I'm good. I have to say, you've got a little thing there that says about tackling the stigma. And I think going in from Born to Be Wild into talking about mental health, in turn, helps tackle the stigma, because people would expect you to, play REM or something just before you start talking about mental health. But didn't you went in on the back of rock, and then do you still go into rock after this?
I'm going to play U2, Beautiful Day.
So there you go.
I think that's part of it, isn't it? Where it's just normal conversation.
Exactly.
Like exactly. But then I do sometimes think about that when people go, "Hi, you all right? How are you? How are you?" is like the ultimate mental health conversation. How are you? Not what are you doing?
Yeah.
What did you get in your GCSEs? How are you? It's like the most common question in the world. And some people go, "You're not allowed to talk about your feelings." Literally everybody asks you every single day, how are you?
Yeah, it's how are you, or you okay? And I think are you okay particularly throws Americans, because that saying how are you is one thing, but are you okay is sometimes seen as a bit of a direct question. We've got friends who live in America, and they say when they got married here, they had to warn all the American guests that people will say, "Are you okay?" and it's not like an insult. They're not suggesting you're not okay.
Yeah,
it's just a how are you?
How are you?
I'm alright.
Yeah, good. Mental Health Monday episode 99 is available. Episode 100 is on the way. We're going to do a special next week, looking particularly at children's mental health, because it's a children's mental health week next week. We've got an event which we'll be telling you about before the end of this week as well, which hopefully will put people sort of in the frame of mind to be talking about the issue of children's mental health. We have been seeing, though, in regard to children's mental health, Jake, in the news, stories of parents who've lost children to suicide, and looking at the issue of social media and the responsibility of social media, and what social media companies need to do to take a bit of responsibility or understand their part in maybe some of the problems that young people are facing. Now, that might be suicide, but it might be a million and one other things which are both positive or negative to a young person. That bullying might be a factor, and we'll always say that social media can be a force for good as well. In particular cases that have been highlighted recently, though, there are clear examples where young people have seen things through social media that have not been positive towards their own mental health, and may have taken them down a path which has led them to choices which have might have ended in some cases in them taking their own lives.
Yeah, I think we've discussed this before. Social media is not going away, and I think trying to kind of just shut off from it, or telling kids to shut off from it, is probably a little bit naive, in the sense that it's not going to happen. So it's not going to go away. So it's about how we actually face it head on, and how we can kind of work with it and work with the companies. I have to say that a lot of the companies, particularly the bigger ones, do a lot that they don't necessarily publicise, but there's still a lot more to be done. And I just think that it's probably, I think if you've got the likes of let's take Twitter, for example, the actual kind of the unique selling point of Twitter is that it's a platform where you can say what you want within reason, but even that within reason is kind of questionable as well. It's the idea of freedom of speech, and where that freedom of speech becomes actually a crime or not. That's kind of it's a blurred area, and I have to say that I think with Twitter in particular, as soon as they start cracking down on that, then is that their business model kind of ruined, and will people move on? So it's how much they're there to be looking after and taking responsibility to its users, but how much actually it's kind of owed to its business case as well.
Yeah, because it's that thing, isn't it, where if somebody is in some sort of circle of looking at images, following accounts, seeing things, looking for more things, they're almost built, these social media sites, to have an algorithm which basically goes, oh, this person likes looking at this, therefore here are a lot of things associated with that. But that can take you down some very dark paths, and actually in many ways, not just from a mental health point of view, but from a world view, news view, football view, it actually essentially confirms, or it's confirmation bias.
Yeah.
You could, if you wanted to, though, built into your system that if somebody is looking at a number of things, you could change that algorithm, which would point them in the direction of things which were more positive, that might point them in a different path, that might change their direction to hijack, if you like, the system as it stands at the moment, which at the moment appears to go, you like football, here's a footballer, here's some football boots, here's some football shirts. Mm-hmm. Instead it would go, you like football, maybe you also might like rugby league and tennis and netball, and it would point you in a different direction.
Yeah, and then as you say, and I think kind of where you're heading as well is, using that responsibility to be like, well, you like gambling, say for example, and it's just making people aware of gambling helplines, using the same formula that it can do to point to different to accounts. It can be also directing to help and support as well. I think without kind of picking on Twitter, but Twitter itself, because we've seen the way that it's kind of become. The fact that you can be, you don't have to have your own pitch, you don't have to have your own name. There's no details that you need to make public, and that kind of lends itself to this trolling that's kind of now seems to be taken over really. And somebody could be sending you really horrific messages, and you would have no idea who they are, how they even know you or have any connection to you, and how to get them taken down. And I've tried to have people taken down in the past because of things, and it's an incredibly long process, and it's not easy. And the easier thing is to do is to block or mute somebody. But actually, if it's a lot of people, then why is the kind of the onus on you as the person who's the victim to block them?
Yeah, and you would think as well the social media companies would want to, in the long term, create good environments where people want to be part of that environment. Because if you don't take action on something which is unpleasant, then although in the short term those people might carry on clicking and you may maintain those users that you can sell advertising to and about, in the long run they go, oh, actually, this isn't a very nice place to be. And for that reason, you choose to come off it.
Yeah, and I think it might not even just be for that. There's a lot of different things, but we've spoke before about how you've decided to come away from some social media, and I've kind of backed off quite a lot from it now. So, and it's not only that, just obviously the things that you're talking about is harmful images and advice, if you will, but also kind of the minor things that might not seem worthy of reporting, but actually once they're all added up, and this idea of bullying that's now actually away from the playground, it's actually when you get home.
Jake Mills is with us from Chasing the Stigma. Episode 99 of Mental Health Monday is available to download now. Anthea Thomas and Anthea's story. There was a lot packed into Anthea's story, and by the time we got to the end of the show, I could have carried on talking to her because of the story that she was able to tell and how well she was able to tell that story. In it, she'd gone through many different things. I sensed a struggle within her in regard to how hard she felt she always had to work growing up, about how that message of work hard came from her own mum. But when she found herself in a situation which had echoes of her mum, she saw that as a failure, even though her mum to her was everything and such an important thing. I could understand the sort of the confusion that almost was there in her mind about how she didn't want to be like her mum, although her mum was her her everything. Yeah,
and I think you could almost sense the guilt in her saying it, but it's absolutely understandable. Is that she wanted, essentially, she wanted a better life for herself and her daughter. And I think most people kind of have that same approach, really. I have to say that I think it was hard to quite understand the depths that she actually did kind of reach and the struggles she did, because she still came across as such a positive and happy person, the way that she was speaking. And I think it says a lot about her as a person and as a character, that she's not only turned her life around, but she's willing and wants to help others and use her own experiences and talk about it. The things that she's talking about are really, really, really tough and really kind of, you wouldn't wish anyone going through that. And the fact that she can talk about it the way that she does in the manner that she does, and then can now help other people, is a really, really important thing.
And I think as well, because the journey was spread over a long period of time, that people will have setbacks, then they'll take positives and they'll think that things are going according to plan. I think she even said there was one moment where she thought, right, this is everything now.
Yeah.
I've got it. It's nailed. And then things change again. That resilience, if you've gone through it and you've thought, right, I've come back from the bottom and I've come away from that. And then if you find yourself back down there again, that is some strength, isn't it? To then find your way back through. In her case, in Anthea's case, her sister with a late night FaceTime, which was a story in itself.
Yeah.
And it just goes to show the support that you can get from your siblings if you want to turn to them and ask for the help.
Well, that's it. The fact that from the kind of the story and the way that Anthea told the story, she didn't actually turn for that help, but then their sister was at the right time, at the right moment. And it's kind of, as you said, it's a kind of example that sometimes we don't even think to ask the people who are closest to us for that help. But they are the people who can guide us through. They're the people who can put us to bed despite being the other side of the world. As you said, to be that low and then come back and then be that low again. And I think Anthea actually said herself, she felt like she was destined to kind of go through that life. And it would have been very, very easy to say, well, this is obviously what my life's meant to be. So as you said, to be able to dig in and to get back with the help of a family just shows the power of a character and resilience, as you said.
Echoes in that in some quotes attributed to Simon Webb, who was on Strictly Come Dancing. He was in the boy band Blue, speaking in OK Magazine. He says, I've been off social media until recently because I lost my brother almost 2 months ago. It is something that is taboo. He took his own life, according to this report that I'm reading. Simon Webb from Blue's brother. It's taught me that people just need to be honest about what they need personally. We need to ask people if they are actually okay, start healing and accept who we are. It's 2019 and I feel this is a year where we should be thankful, stop searching for perfection. I lost my brother while I was working. He was someone I thought I'd see again. It needs to be brought to the forefront. He and himself had spoken about a time where he had difficulties. He says, I didn't leave the house for weeks on end except to buy bread or milk. I was really depressed. I never attempted suicide, but I thought about it. Links, helpfully, in this particular article to both the Samaritans website and that 24-hour helpline number as well, which is the 116123 samaritans.org. There's another high-profile figure who's experienced something which is very real to very many people, again, within his own family.
And it's not even just that, it's another example of somebody who, is kind of another life that is lost, another family who are mourning, and another family who are asking questions now of saying, why didn't they talk to us? What could we have done? And again, it's about, we spoke about this on the show so many times, about how we have to prevent people from getting to that crisis point, and it's education for everyone, education for family, education for partners, education for yourself about what statistically you're probably going to feel low at some point. It might not be a diagnosable mental health condition, but your mental health will go up and down at some point. And we all have to be educated to know what to look out for and how to look after each other.
And I guess that's the other thing, and this happens many times in the programme, that the people only experience that feeling of, oh, we need to do something here, we need to talk about this. They only feel that when they've actually had that first-hand experience themselves. Organisations like yourself, the work we do, it's trying to, when we talk about normalising it, what we're actually talking about there, and this isn't a criticism of people who feel it, is making people aware of those feelings without having to experience the terrible thing. You know, people learn lessons from life experience as well, but if we can learn from other people's experience so that we can recognise it ourselves, that's got to be the way forward on all of this.
It is. I think it's really unique, really, because I think it's natural. I think it's human instinct to only care about something when or care more about something when it's close to home, if it's affected you, particularly if you're talking about some kind of say a disease or an illness of some kind. Let's just talk about cancer, for example. If that's affected your family, then suddenly you're aware of it. If it's an illness that might be a little bit rare, then suddenly you're aware of it and you're trying to look out for these signs and symptoms. But the thing about mental health, not mental illness, mental health, everyone has mental health. So it's something that we should all be prepared for, and it's got to start in schools. And I often say we should be talking about our mental health as a good thing, as a positive thing. We should be talking about it when it is good, and recognising the things that we kind of can help feel good mentally, because if we're talking about it when it's good, it'll be a lot easier to talk about it when it's bad, and a lot easier to recognise if it ever does go bad.
Jake, thank you for your time. If people want to find out more information about the Hub of Hope, which Jake Mills set up, hubofhope.co.uk, you can use your location device or use the location function on your device to find mental health services close to you. What are you working on at Chasing the Stigma this week?
So we've just had the Hugathon with Everton, and we've just been teaming up with Liverpool Football Club, which has been brilliant, engaging football fans talking about mental health. And then we're working on a couple of things now, particularly speaking to government and stuff about our Ambassador Hope training programme.
Keep him busy. Good to know. I have been sent a copy of, and I'll just get the official title, the Preventing Suicide in England, 4th Progress Report of the Cross-Government Outcome Strategy to Save Lives, which is a terrible headline.
It's catchy, isn't it?
But it's basically the government have produced a report based on conversations with people about the best way to deal with the issue of suicide as it stands, the best way forward, organisations that can work together. Hopefully we'll spend a little bit of time in the forthcoming weeks looking at that. I know James's Place got a mention, Radio City and this programme got a mention as well in regard to those conversations about how the media talk about it as well. It's got a forward from the new Minister for Suicide Prevention, Jackie Doyle-Price, as well. So I know that quite a few people will be keen to talk about this. I've got the info. There's loads of stats and facts contained within it. We'll do that on a future edition of the show. And we've got episode 100 of Mental Health Monday coming up this coming Monday. And Jake, you know what we're going to do.
Yeah.
I hope it's going to be a big one.
Yeah, I love pizza, so I'm really up for it.
Thank you for your time. Mental Health Extra, following on from Mental Health Monday. We do it every Tuesday on Radio City Talk.
Liverpool Live.
With Mick Coyle. Rock, sport and talk.
Radio City Talk.